This video will discuss reproductive anatomy and its usage. Get your giggles out now. Viewer discretion is advised. Sex biology is a complicated topic, especially in humans. Humans do not only have sexes, but they have implications and assumptions tied to those sexes, as well as genders that may or may not align with those sexes. Especially with the politically charged nature of talking about sex biology, it can be intimidating to even catch up on the science behind human sex. It is my hope that this video can be a starting point for information on human sex biology and inform people on why human sex is not just a simple binary as some people might say. For the purposes of clarity, I will be referring to sex, the action, as mating, and the term meaning mating types and their assumed matching anatomies as sex. Sex can mean many things, generally referring to the set of characteristics that usually come with having a set of reproductive organs. When referring to humans, male typically implies that the individual has a penis, testes, and produces sperm, and female typically implies that the individual has a vagina, ovaries, and a uterus, and produces ova or eggs. However, not all humans follow this structure. Not all people who are assigned to sex at birth have all of the assumed traits that are implied for their assigned sex. To clear things up, I will be using the term used in Agustin Fuentes' Sex is a Spectrum, 3G male and 3G female. 3G means that the genes, as in X or Y chromosomes, gonads, ovaries and/or testes, and genitals all align with the typical structure for an assigned sex. I will also be appending an H standing for hormones, as this is also an important category to sex biology discussions. Not all people follow this 3GH structure, but it is the assumed normal in people, and many studies that use the terms male and female are assuming that these people's anatomy follow 3GH. Lastly, I will be referring to the X and Y chromosomes as allosomes, their more scientific name, as when defining sex and sex chromosomes ends up in the definition, it gets pretty confusing. So what really is the sex binary? The binary sex idea is the belief that there are strictly two completely different sexes in humans, male and female. This idea is also often applied to non-human and non-mammal animals as well. The idea stems from a few sources. A binary does exist in some aspects of sex. Humans do only produce two types of gametes, sperm and egg, and there are only two types of allosomes in humans, X and Y. However, sex as a whole is not as simple as XY means sperm, XX means egg. The binary sex idea and its prevalence in modern society can be traced back to a few sources. Firstly, Angus Bateman and his theories on mating and sex. While Bateman's experiment with mating flies and his elaboration on Charles Darwin's principles relating to sexual selection were huge advancements in the field of biology, a lot of his theory was incorrect. Bateman argued that egg producers are picky with mates, while sperm producers' only goal is to mate with as many egg producers as possible. Bateman argued that because ova are costly for an organism to produce and sperm are cheap, as well as pregnancy period and producing milk when referring to mammals, egg producers and sperm producers have evolved to fill completely different purposes and have become very different from each other. These ideas have been thought of as fact for hundreds of years and have regularly been enforced, usually by 3GH males who use massage statistics and evidence to claim that they are the better, more evolved sex, and therefore are better suited to taking on more important and powerful tasks. This regular, somewhat aggressive enforcement has led the majority of the public believing that sex is binary, including many individuals that believe gender is not binary. So why are these ideas wrong? Well, first of all, not every human fits neatly into the categories of 3GH male or female. People may have chromosomes, genitals, gonads, or hormone concentrations that do not align with the assumed characteristics of their sex. Simply put, humans and all other organisms can't be neatly sorted into two categories. Biology loves to make liars out of all of us. Even in those that are 3GH male or female, there is significant overlap in the traits that are supposedly so different from each other. According to the gender similarities hypothesis, an analysis of various sex-dependent studies, self-reportings of aggression, both physical and verbal, mating drive, and self-esteem overlap almost entirely between assumed 3G females and males. In the same analysis, strength and mating activity sway more heavily in the 3GH male direction, but this also has a social aspect that impacts many of these responses. Social implications to sex is another issue with the sex binary. If sex traits are socially impacted, then it is almost impossible to tell if those traits are caused by a division in sex or because of a social norm. Are 3GH males really that much stronger than 3GH females? Or are 3GH males simply trained harder and better than 3GH females? Are 3GH males really that much taller? Or are 3GH females simply socially conditioned to eat less? Do 3GH males really have a higher mating drive? Or are 3GH females just shamed for their mating drive? Until these social implications of sex are eliminated, many traits cannot be correctly identified as a sex characteristic and should just be reported as their own category. And although this is mostly a video about humans, I wanted to bring attention to the fact that a binary, even if true in humans, is not standard in biology. Many fish can change sex, being able to produce both sperm and egg at various points in their lifespans, like the gorgeous goby, adequately named I think, can switch between the gametes that they produce depending on the sex ratios of their population. Similarly not human-like, all crocodilian sex is determined by temperature while they are developing in the egg rather than allosomes. Even in humans, the tissues forming the genitals and gonads are the exact same before receiving a certain cue to develop into a sex structure, and the process may be altered by various hormones and external factors. Enforcing the idea of a sex binary can be very harmful. Not everyone has the same organs, hormone levels, and reproductive capabilities based on what sex they have been assigned at birth. This can lead to untreated medical issues such as the risk of ovarian cancer in an intersex individual who has been assigned male, or a female assigned individual who is undergoing testosterone hormone replacement therapy and developing structures such as prostate tissue. Along with this, intersex people are often barred from participating in sports. Many intersex women have been caught having higher levels of testosterone than 3G males are supposedly supposed to have, therefore giving them an unfair advantage against the other normal, weak, and fragile women. Many intersex athletes have been forced through invasive sex verification tests and have been forced to take medications to lower their testosterone levels to a normal level or be barred from competing in the women's class of their sport. Medical care for intersex individuals is currently horrendous, and corrective procedures to force them aligned to the sex binary are common. If an infant does not align with either the 3GH categories, their genitals will usually be mutilated to form a correct shape, which can lead to displeasure and discomfort in mating, a body that does not truly match how one feels, and a sense of lost autonomy in adulthood. Improper medical care and medical malpractice for intersex individuals is unfortunately very common, but a greater understanding of the true scientific nature of sex may help intersex individuals receive better care in the future. In scientific studies, the idea of binary sex is also quite harmful. Investigating differences between male and female without investigating why these differences occur can lead to potentially incorrect calculations based on a collection of factors that were erroneously assumed to be uniform throughout the population. For example, if someone were to assume that all females and all males were the same in terms of hormone concentration, fat distribution, and ability to reproduce, a study done on these terms could be incorrect since not all males and not all females are the same in these categories. Likewise, choosing a certain sex to work with, usually male, instead of selecting from the whole population when doing scientific research is not representative of the whole population and can cause trouble in later studies. The sex binary is often based on European models as well, which is harmful for people of color. For example, hirsutism, a condition where a female develops more male-patterned body hair, is more common in people of Hispanic, Middle Eastern, African American, and South Asian descent. Likewise, most of the Olympian athletes who have needed to receive sex-checking tests have been dark-skinned. Sounds a little suspicious that these trends occur, huh? Eliminating the idea of the sex binary will reduce harm in humans, especially in the medical field, which can lead to more advancement in medicine and sex research for all people. Well, if sex is not binary, then what is it? While it is true that human allosomes are binary, only having X and Y variants, and it's true that human gametes are binary, ova and sperm, sex as a whole is a spectrum. There are definitely important patterns to recognize in sex, such as certain fat distribution patterns occurring with the prevalence of certain hormones, or genes that code for certain sexual structures, but these patterns do not follow a simple binary. Two 3GH males may not be the same strength as each other, or have the same mating drive, or height. A 3GH female may be stronger and taller than a 3GH male. A person may be born with both ovarian and testicular tissue, ovarian tissue and a penis, testicular tissue and a vagina, or ambiguous genitalia. A person may have higher or lower concentrations of testosterone than they are assumed to have from their sex determined at birth. Not all 3GH females are able to produce eggs, and not all 3GH males are able to produce sperm, and some people cannot produce gametes at all. All people have a range of abilities and traits, both mentally and physically, and it is both unfair and inaccurate to assume a trait is a sex trait without proper investigation. Describing anatomy, ability, skill, and functions as it is, like gonads, reproductive organs, gametes, and hormone concentrations, instead of labeling it as a male or female trait, is both more accurate and can provide better care for all humans. Thank you for watching. And an extra special thank you to Agustin Fuentes and his Sex is a Spectrum, the Evolutionary Limits of the Binary for inspiring this video, as well as my dear friend Pepsi for providing such insightful commentary about my research, to Sleepy who recorded a singular line for me to include in my video, and to the brave intersex individuals and community that surround me. Thank you.